Well, we've journeyed down just about every Oregon road exploring this beautiful state of ours in different seasons of the year. And we've shared our adventures, and we enjoyed the wide variety of terrain Oregon has to offer, from the eastern deserts and spectacular scenery there, to the various lakes and scenery in central Oregon and the Cascades, where we have not only explored and hiked the trails, but caught our fair share of fish as well. We've hiked waterfalls in the Willamette Valley less than an hour away to the east of us, and traveled just an hour in the other direction to reach our spectacular western coastline and marvel at all of its beauty. We've had many an adventure in the variety of places lining our western seaboard. It truly is a magnificent wonder that we often take for granted. But we also take for granted the need to give credit to the rest of the year when we're home enjoying what our Salem area has to offer our souls on a daily basis. It's amazing how you can be surrounded by natural wonders and not even be aware of them. Some mornings it starts by just heading out our front door and walking through the neighborhood. Neighbors bear the brunt of some local wildlife interaction. We wondered what caused the holes in this chimney. Oh, entertaining for us, not so much those owners. The bunnies are fun to run into and don't seem much afraid of us as we pass. We are entertained by them, but many neighbors don't think much of their talent for eating garden food. But come on, how adorable, right? We do, of course, spy ducks doing their duck things in various duck places. And we also spot neighborhood herons from time to time as well. Sometimes the two coexist around the local creeks. Oftentimes we see more deer in our own neighborhood than we do when we're looking for them in the wilderness. We start to think of them as our own and worry when they try to cross the road. Sometimes we even play traffic cops to halt the cars so they can safely get from one side to the other.
Good choice.
We even named some of the frequent visitors, like old three-legged Long John here. Then there are those who think they are wild and look on as we walk by, occasionally from a distance, or they watch us warily as we pass. Sometimes they're just downright panicked by our presence. Most times they're so busy watching us that they miss what's right in front of them. And we get our share of surprises along the way as well. On one walk, we noticed some big bird across the street that we thought was a heron, but it turned out to be a tom turkey looking for someone. His family, perhaps? He seemed to change his mind about crossing the street and headed over to the senior center to see if maybe they were there. He tried all the doors with no luck, and then he scoured the parking lot.
Hello? Anybody in there? Anybody home? Hey, hello? Whoa, I'm out of here, head for the park.
When he couldn't find them there, he circled back around, crossed the street, and entered our nearby park. Naturally, we followed to see what he would find. He seemed determined, and we had nothing better to do. He was kind of a tough one to follow, though. Lots and lots of walking. And when we caught up to him, he looked just as lost as when we first saw him. We took it upon ourselves to help him look for his folks. We looked high and low, and just when the sun was starting to set and we were about to give up the search, we saw something ahead that looked like a family of sorts. Sure enough, we found what looked to be the rest of the story. See, are there still 7?
Yeah.
Following? Oh. With Chris's help, the flock found the tom and we headed back home after another walking adventure around the neighborhood. Yes, there's beauty and surprises to be had even within minutes of walking out our front door. But many days we just don't feel like dealing with the car noise or traffic as we walk. Plus, we like to see more wildlife too. Luckily, thanks to a nearby city park and wildlife refuge, we can hop in our car and be surrounded by all kinds of beauty and wildlife in less time than it takes to drink a cup of coffee. Minto Brown is a pretty popular local park, but it's big enough that we can find ways to feel like we've escaped. We can depart from the asphalt and be in the woods in no time, ready to look for all kinds of waterfowl and other wonders. The path becomes its own adventure as we walk, and then we run into something like these wood ducks. Notice the colorful male strutting his stuff. There are some stretches where we may not be seeing the wildlife at every turn, but we really don't care because the woods are always interesting here. Then one of us will spot something and we both have to check it out. Like these herons we saw out in the river. Some days we feel like leaving the woods and heading out into the more open grasslands to see what we can see there. And this particular day we got for us what is a rare sighting at Minto Brown, a deer. As we left our doe, we heard something rat-a-tat-tatting in the distance and thought we found the culprit in a nearby tree. Definite woodpecker action. Awesome. Then we spied this guy working the tree over pretty good. The surrounding rat-a-tatters provided a good accompaniment for his digging and exploring. He was a lot of fun to watch, and we spent quite a bit of time gawking at him before heading back to the main trails towards our car. On the way back, Chris took time out to educate me on the smooth-trunked madrone tree.
They don't use them to carve anything. Like it has no bark. It's just smooth. It's a strange tree. Most of them grow in southern Oregon, but there are a few up as far as Salem. Madrone.
Then we had to take a breather to reflect on all that we had seen that day, only to discover that we were not alone. Time to continue on. There are times that if you're not careful to look up and all around you, you can walk right by something really amazing. We could have easily have missed these baby owls way up in the branches. Luckily, we did not.
Really beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. This is like once in a... Wow. Oh my gosh. Then there are the things you'd rather do without seeing as you explore the darker places. Like a tarantula at Minto Brown.
Well, there on the side of the sign is either a tarantula or some kind of crab. What a horrible looking animal. Look at that thing. Ah, got it, Jesus, Well, it looks scary.
Okay, looks like it's time to say goodbye to another morning walk at Minto Brown and all of its wildlife. And hair clips. The mornings when we're looking for even more wildlife and beauty, we turn our sights towards the Ankeny Wildlife Refuge. Again, just a cup of coffee away from our front door. There are places to enjoy within the refuge year-round, but we love the spring through fall months when the off-trails open up for us to explore. It doesn't matter where we go, we know we're in for a treat and can count on a wide variety of wildlife, including all of the migrating ducks, which includes everything from mallards to widgeons to cinnamon teal and more. This mama duck is lucky. All her young'uns are accounted for. Some parents aren't so lucky and look for what may no longer be there. We found evidence of some of these stories.
Being a duck is hard out here. Poor old duck, she's got a nest down there and it must be the coyotes found her. There's one egg, it's all torn up. Here's another egg that's almost whole, except it's been bitten into right here. It doesn't have any value. That duckling is gone. This, I don't know, is bigger. Maybe a goose egg. You find eggs laying around. This one wasn't hatched, it was destroyed. But a lot of waterfowl out here, and a lot of them don't make it.
We journeyed on for more signs of life, and the geese seemed to be telling us they had lots of life. Clearly, some of these goose eggs did make it. In fact, the flotilla evidence would suggest that quite a lot of those eggs made it. Well, the signs at Ankeny provide some basic information, but we found a local guide who was willing to give us the inside skinny. Mr. Heron, whose first order of business was to get us away from the geese. Better things to see and all. So, okay, Mr. Heron, we'll follow and see what you got. But it's hard not to get distracted by all the annoying beauty that surrounds us. But we'll march on and try not to let any of that beauty get in our way. Well, here we go. What we thought was just another yellow flower was actually a goldfinch. Cool. Then everywhere we looked, we were seeing some amazing birds, like these beautiful cedar waxwings. Or this grosbeak. And how about this flicker? But our heron guide was not impressed and wanted us to move towards the water for some reason. Move it along, folks, come on. So we followed. And right before us, this bittern took off. Then we spotted a juvenile green-backed heron and thought we were seeing what Mr. Heron wanted us to see, but nope. We tried his patience as he waited for us to catch up to what he really wanted. So we tried to hurry it up, and he excitedly headed us towards his quest. And that's when we heard them. The frogs! Aha! Now it makes sense. Mr. Heron didn't care about sightseeing. He was excited about a possible lunch, and a bigger lunch than usual. You know, we've seen his bite-sized fare, the little guys who think they're big guys.
Not a real big frog. No.
But as we neared this pond, we heard the bass-throated bullfrogs, worthy of a heron feast. No wonder he was so excited, and we got to them during, shall we say, courting time.
It's that time of year.
We'll leave them with smiles on their faces. Well, most of them. And we'll have to leave our heron guide for a while too, because he got into it with an egret, probably over frogs. We'll have to catch up with him later. Besides, we've got our own problems to contend with, like trying not to step on snakes. Now, these are largely just garter snakes out here and mostly trying to get out of our way. They fool you into thinking they're not much for aggression until you do something like try to touch them or even pet them, Chris. Then Chris found some evidence of a snake that shed its skin, a pretty big one from the looks of it. And what was the story on this snake? Bad day for him. We find lots of evidence of stories we try to interpret when we walk at Ankeny.
Kind of where a goose bought the farm. Whatever he is, he ain't flying too good now.
No. Maybe this frog didn't taste too great to Mr. Heron. We always look for egg stories and wonder what happened, even when they don't turn out to be eggs.
There's another egg. Maybe it's an alligator egg. Wrong. Mushroom.
What killed you, little guy? What kills a coyote out in the middle of the field? Sometimes we do double takes on things we know can't be real.
Holy cow, what's that? Alligator. Alligator.
And is that some kind of bat on a twig or something? Nope, just cattails. Pretty good ones though, huh? Okay, enough fantasy for now. Let's get back to something real. We headed back to the frog pond via the heron and egret standoff and saw the egret take up with other species, ignoring the heron entirely. When we got to the frog pond, we heard the pitter-pat of raindrops and even saw some drops on the water until we realized it was not rain, but something else. We thought we were seeing things and finally decided these were fish popping up and down so quickly we couldn't identify them. The frogs didn't seem to mind them one bit. So we ask you, any ideas on this one? Then there are the animals that move so slowly that not only can we film them, we have to wonder if they're even alive.
Well, they're not hard to catch.
At certain times of the year, the nutria make themselves known, and we enjoy watching them, whether they're relaxing in the sun behind the shade of some sticks, swimming, or feeding their young on top of a mound we named Nutria Hill. Some days you get surprises like this one when Chris thought the white birds he saw might be egrets, a common sight at Ankeny. But they turned out to be a flock of pelicans visiting the refuge for a spell. Definitely fun to see. And there are countless other fun things to see here too.
There he is. What the heck is going on? This bush keeps moving on me. Bye, bird. Good luck. Have a nice day.
Well, October is here, and we have to say so long to our back trails at Ankeny until next spring, when we once again get to enjoy the vast expanse of the refuge and all of its beauty and color. Goodbye for now to all of the wildlife, including countless bird sightings like bald eagles, quail, osprey, doves, red-winged blackbirds, and more and more. Goodbye to our heron guide. See you next spring.